Greetings, seekers. Matthew 28:16-20. The 11 disciples went to Galilee to the mountain to which Jesus had directed them. When they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted. And Jesus came and said to them, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything that I have commanded you. And remember, I am with you always, even to the end of the age." In this passage, I want to focus on two things that Jesus says. First, he instructs them to teach people to obey everything he had commanded them. I think the way to truly understand this statement is to search and find out what Jesus did command them. Jesus tells his disciples to make more disciples, and by making people disciples, they need to be able to articulate what Jesus wants from people. I've been able to identify at least 49 commands in the gospel. Here we will focus on three very important ones for our time. Jesus asks us to be servant to others. During the Last Supper, Jesus gets down on his knee and washes his disciples' feet. He shows that even though he is the Son of God, he is a servant. In another passage, it says that the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. Our service to others is a mark of our desire to show the love of God to the world. Admittedly, we live in a world where we are far too often seek to be served rather than to serve. Our system is unfortunately set up like that, and from a young age we are taught to rise to the top and to get what we can get without the worry of others. Time magazine wrote an article that talked about raising the most narcissistic generation due to our desire to serve self. Selflessness is not on the top priority list for many of us, and it takes us being reminded that it is a command from God. I hope and pray that each day God can give me and you an opportunity to serve. Jesus also asks us to come to him if we are weary and heavy burdened, and he will give us rest. He says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." We can all use some rest for our souls these days. Life has been confusing and difficult over the last few months. There seems to be this heavy and almost nihilistic cloud that is following the world around. The lack of meaning and purpose that has been caused due to people being locked in their houses has left individuals with an emptiness and a void that is so glaringly evident. Unfortunately, the world does not offer a way to fill that void that truly brings the rest Jesus is offering to us. I pray today that you will seek Jesus to find rest for your souls. The final commandment that I want to discuss today is one that we have spoken about many times before, but I feel it needs to be reiterated as often as possible. Jesus says to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and your neighbor as yourself. In our trying and tumultuous world where many are feeling that they are being discounted and ignored, it is a command from God to love them. Jesus tells us that our loving our neighbor is just like loving God. Jesus also says that people will know that you are my disciple by your love. We may not all agree on politics, economics, and even religion, but it still remains that we are neighbors. And Jesus doesn't qualify what a neighbor is. He clearly states that everyone is our neighbor, and he calls us to love them. There can be no higher calling than to love your neighbor. I pray that you will see all as your neighbor and follow the command of Jesus to love them. The second thing I wanted to bring up is that Jesus said he will be with us. The amazing thing is that Jesus is here for us. His sacrifice and his words can carry us through these difficult times. He tells us that he is standing at the door and knocking, and he says that if anyone hears his voice and lets him in, he will come in and dine with them. I implore everyone to open the door and let him in. Jesus brings rest. Jesus brings peace, and he teaches us how to love all of those around us. May God bless you, and we look forward to seeing you in person real soon. Amen.